Hi everyone, my name is Mansi and welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to build a secure web application using Node.js, Express.js and several powerful libraries. By the end of this video, you will know how to set up a Node.js project, use Express.js for routing, connect MongoDB with Mongoose, secure user authentication with Passport.js, hash passwords using bcrypt, handle file uploads using Multer, export data to Excel with the XLSX library, and more. This tutorial will be perfect for anyone looking to enhance their Node.js skills. Let's dive right in. Let's start with a quick introduction to Node.js and Express.js. Node.js is a runtime environment that allows you to run JavaScript on the server side. It's built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine, making it fast and efficient for building scalable applications. Express is a web application framework for Node.js. It simplifies handling HTTP requests, building APIs, and rendering web pages. It's lightweight and opinionated, allowing you to structure your app as you like. Node.js and Express.js can be explained using a real life example of a restaurant and its ordering system. Imagine Node.js is like the kitchen of a restaurant. Node.js allows the SAPs, which is servers here, to cook multiple orders, which is requests here, simultaneously. Just like a kitchen where multiple chefs can work on different dishes at the same time, Node.js can handle multiple tasks without waiting for one task to complete. It's fast and efficient because it doesn't block the kitchen's workflow, meaning chefs don't have to stop cooking one dish before starting the next. Node.js operates on a non-blocking event-driven model which allows it to handle multiple requests like cooking multiple meals without waiting for one to finish. Customers place orders, which is requests from their tables, which is client side. The kitchen, which is Node.js server, prepares the food, processes the request, and sends it back to the table when it's ready. Now, think of Express.js as the menu and wait staff of the restaurant. Express.js organizes and routes requests like the wait staff directing orders to the kitchen based on what's on the menu. It defines routes, the paths customers follow to place their orders. For instance, a customer might request appetizers, main courses, or desserts, just like a browser requests different pages or data from a website. If a customer wants a pizza, the wait staff that is Express.js looks at the menu, which is routes, directs the kitchen, which is Node.js, to make the pizza, uh, which is serve the data or HTML file, and then brings it back to the customer, responds to the request. If a customer orders a burger, the waitstaff will route that request to the kitchen for burger preparation. Now, we will explore why developers love using Express.js when building web applications with Node.js. Let's dive in. It's a popular choice for several reasons, like simplified routing. Express makes it incredibly easy to define routes for different endpoints in your web application. You can route user requests to different parts of your app with just a few lines of code. Middleware management. Express allows you to easily add middleware, which are functions that can modify requests and responses. This helps you handle things like authentication, logging, and more. Integration with templating engines. Express supports popular templating engines like EJS, making it simple to generate dynamic HTML pages. Building RESTful APIs. Express.js is commonly used to build RESTful APIs because it streamlines the process of handling HTTP requests, routing, and data handling. Let me show you how quick it is to set up a basic Express server. Here's a simple example where we create a server that responds with Hello World. So in this example, first we import Express using require. We then initialize the app by calling Express method to create an Express application. We define a route for the home page using app.get. This method that when users visits the home page, our app will respond with the text Hello World. Finally, we tell the app to listen on port 3000. When the server starts, it will print a message saying it's running. Now, we are going to talk about EJS or embedded JavaScript and how it helps create dynamic web pages. Let's break it down with some easy real life examples. EJS stands for Embedded JavaScript, and as the name suggests, it lets you embed JavaScript logic right inside your HTML. It's perfect for creating dynamic web pages where the content changes based on data. But what does this actually mean? Let's imagine you are visiting a restaurant website. Instead of displaying a static menu, the website shows a dynamic menu that changes based on the time of day. Breakfast in the morning, lunch in the afternoon, and dinner at night. With EJS, you can create this dynamic content. EJS allows you to conditionally render different sections of the web page based on data like the time of day. Now let's take another real life example. Imagine a website where users have their profiles. On every page, you want to display the same navigation bar with user specific links like profile, messages, and logout. Instead of repeating the navigation bar HTML on every page, EJS allows you to create partials, which are reusable pieces of code. This way, you can reuse HTML components efficiently. So, why should you use EJS? Easy integration with Express.js. EJS works seamlessly with Express.js, making it easy to create dynamic websites. Reusability. With partials, you can reuse HTML components like headers, footers, and navigation bars across your pages. Simple syntax. EJS has a very simple syntax that lets you embed JavaScript logic directly into HTML, making it powerful yet easy to use. Now, I will walk you through installing and setting up EJS in a Node.js project. We'll also create a simple EJS template to see how dynamic content works. Let's get started. To begin, open your terminal and run the command npm install EJS. This installs the EJS templating engine in your Node.js project. Once EJS is installed, you need to set it up as the view engine in your Express application. In your app.js file, add the line of code app.setViewEngine EJS. This tells Express to use EJS to render your HTML files. Now, whenever you send a response that includes HTML, it will be processed through the EJS engine. Let's create a simple EJS template. Inside the views folder, create a file called index.ejs. Here's an example of what the EJS template might look like. The title and user are placeholders for dynamic data. This is where EJS embeds JavaScript into your HTML. For example, if you pass a value for title or user, it will be displayed here in the generated HTML. So what is MongoDB? MongoDB is a NoSQL database, meaning it doesn't square data in rows and columns like traditional SQL databases. Instead, it uses flexible JSON like documents to store data, which makes it easy to adapt and scale as your application grows. In MongoDB, data is stored in JSON like documents, and those documents are grouped into collections. This makes it very flexible for managing different types of data. Next, let's talk about Mongoose. Mongoose is an object data modeling library for MongoDB. Think of it as a bridge between your MongoDB database and your Node.js application. With Mongoose, you define schemas for your data, which means you specify the structure that each document should follow. Mongoose then allows you to interact with the database using simple JavaScript methods. Now, why should you use Mongoose? Because it simplifies database interaction. Instead of writing complex MongoDB queries, Mongoose provides a clean JavaScript friendly API. It lets you work with your database using JavaScript objects and methods. Schema validation. Mongoose enforces structure through schemas. This means if your application requires certain fields, like a user's email, Mongoose will ensure the data adheres to the schema before saving it to the database. Middleware support. Mongoose supports middleware, which allows you to run functions before or after specific database operations, such as validation or data population. This makes it great for tasks like encrypting passwords or formatting data. Now we will learn how to install and set up Mongoose in a Node.js application. I'll also show you how to create a Mongoose model to define the structure of your data. Let's jump right in. First, let's install Mongoose. Open your terminal, navigate to your project folder, and run the command npm install mongoose. This will install the Mongoose package which we will use to connect our Node.js app to our MongoDB database. Now that Mongoose is installed, let's set up a connection to our MongoDB database. In your app.js file, add the following code. Here we are using the mongoose.connect function to establish a connection to MongoDB. In this case, we are connecting to a database called my app running locally on our machine. Now that we are connected to MongoDB, let's create a Mongoose model. Models are essential in Mongoose because they define the structure of the documents stored in our MongoDB collections. We start by defining a schema. Here we are defining a schema for our user model. This schema specifies that each user document will have a username and a password, both of which are strings. Next, we'll create a model using this schema. A model allows us to interact with the MongoDB collection for users. Now we are going to cover how to implement user authentication in a Node.js app using Passport.js, and we'll focus on using Passport local strategy for username and password authentication. So, what is Passport.js? Passport is a middleware for Node.js that helps with user authentication. It provides a flexible way to handle user logins using different strategies like local strategy. This makes it incredibly powerful for building secure applications. Now, what is Passport Local? It is a strategy used for handling username password authentication. This is perfect for apps where users need to register and log in with their credentials. Now we need to install Passport.js, Passport Local, and Express Session to handle user authentication and session management. Open your terminal and run the command. Once the packages are installed, let's set up Passport.js in our Express application. In your app.js file, add the following code to require passport and local strategy. Next, we'll set up the local strategy to handle the username and password login logic. Now, let's configure session management to keep users logged in across different pages. We are using the Express Session package for this. In this setup, we initialize sessions using Express Session. The secret is used to sign the session ID cookie, and we have set resave to false to prevent unnecessary session resaving, while save uninitialized ensures a session is only created when necessary. Finally, we need to initialize passport and configure it to manage sessions. The last two lines of code initialize passport and integrate it with the session management system we set up earlier. This ensures that passport can serialize and deserialize user sessions correctly. Now, we are diving into an essential part of user authentication in Node.js applications using Passport.js, serializing and deserializing users. This process is crucial for maintaining user sessions. What is serialization? It is storing user information in the session. And what about deserialization? It is retrieving user information from the session. Let's start by looking at the serialization part. In your app.js file, you will set up the serialize user function like this. Why do we serialize the user like this? Storing only the user ID instead of the entire user object minimizes the size of the session data, making it more efficient. We'll retrieve the full user object later when needed. Now, let's look at the deserialization part. In your app.js, you will set up the deserialize user function like this. So, what are sessions? Sessions allow the server to store user information between requests. This is particularly important for authentication, where we need to ensure that users remain logged in as they navigate through different pages of your application. Now let's dive into how sessions work in practice. When a user logs in, a session is created on the server to store user specific information such as their ID or other related data. Next, the session ID is stored in a cookie on the client's browser. When the session is created, the server generates a unique session ID. This ID is then sent to the client in a cookie, allowing the browser to remember it for further requests. When the user makes subsequent requests to the server, the browser automatically sends the session ID cookie along with the request. This allows the server to retrieve the corresponding session data. Now, let's talk about using bcrypt to hash passwords. First, let's discuss why we need to use bcrypt for password hashing. Storing passwords in a plain text is a significant security risk. If your database is compromised, attackers can easily access users' passwords. This can lead to unauthorized access and data breaches. So, how does bcrypt help with this? Bcrypt hashes the password and adds a salt, which is random data. This makes it extremely difficult to reverse engineer the original password, even if the hashed password is stolen. In this code, we specify the password we want to hash and set the salt rounds. The more rounds, the more secure the hash, but it will take longer to compute. The bcrypt.hash method returns the hashed password. We use bcrypt.compare method to check if the entered password matches the hashed password stored in the database. It returns true if they match. It returns false if they don't match. ConnectFlash is a middleware that allows you to store and display temporary messages such as success or error notifications to users across different requests. It's, it's especially useful in scenarios like form submissions where you want to give feedback after a user action. In this code, we create a get route for login. We use request.flash method to retrieve any error messages stored in the session and pass it to the login view. This allows us to display error notifications to the user. In the post route, we use passport.authenticate local to handle the authentication process. If the login fails, we flash an error message, invalid username or password. If successful, the user is redirected to the dashboard. Multer is a middleware for handling multi-part form data, which is primarily used for uploading files in web applications. It makes it easy to handle file uploads from the client side to the server. It simplifies the process of uploading files in an Express application. With Multer, you can easily handle single or multiple file uploads, and it integrates smoothly with Express, allowing you to manage uploaded files efficiently. In this code, we import Multer and create an instance of it, specifying that uploaded files will be stored in the uploads directory. In the post route for upload, we use upload.single to handle a single file upload. The string file corresponds to the name of the file input in our HTML form. Once the library is installed, you can import it into your application. In this code, we create a new workbook using bookNew method and define a worksheet using AO2Sheet method, where the data is provided as an array of arrays. The first array represents the headers and the second contains the data. We use bookAppendSheet method to add the worksheet to our workbook. We also specify the name of the sheet, which is in this case is sheet 1. We use writeFile method to save our workbook as an Excel file named output.xlsx. The file will be created in the root directory of your project. That's all for today's tutorial. I hope you found it helpful and that you will be able to implement it in your own projects. Thanks for watching and see you next time.